High above the mountains, the clouds drift slowly, like silver oceans stretched across the endless sky. The wind hums softly, carrying secrets that have traveled for ages, whispers hidden beyond mortal hearing. Tonight, we follow a path not carved by stone or wood, but woven from mist, thunder, and forgotten wonder. This is the story of Zeus, not as the mighty ruler of Olympus, but as a seeker searching for silence. The heavens glow faintly, stars flickering like lanterns, guiding his steps toward a place few have known. Legends speak of a temple that floats among the clouds, unseen by mortals, untouched by the hands of time. It is called the Skybound Temple, a sanctuary where memory, echo, and light gather into eternal form. No doors mark its entrance, no walls guard its treasures, only the boundless air and the trust of the wind. As Zeus ascends, he carries not his thunderbolts, but a quiet heart, curious to uncover what lies beyond. And so our journey begins, high above the world, in a realm where stillness waits for those who seek it. The morning sky opened wide, painted in pale gold, with clouds drifting like ships upon a silent sea. Zeus stood upon the highest peak of Olympus, his gaze fixed on the endless stretch of heavens above. The wind curled around him, cool and restless, carrying whispers that brushed against his ancient mind. These were not the shouts of storms or the roar of thunder, but soft murmurs, gentle as falling rain. They spoke of a place unseen, a sanctuary hidden in the folds of the clouds, waiting to be discovered. Even for the king of the skies, the thought stirred curiosity, a rare and delicate spark within his soul. The voices grew stronger at dawn, weaving a melody only his ears seemed capable of truly hearing. They were not commands, nor were they cries, but invitations written in the breath of the upper winds. Zeus closed his eyes, listening deeply, as if the sky itself wished to guide him toward its secret heart. The whispers carried no threat, no warning of battle, only a call shaped in patience and in quiet wonder. He lifted his face to the horizon, where the clouds gathered like gateways between heaven and eternity. His heart, often heavy with the weight of ruling, felt light, almost boyish, stirred by an old curiosity. Long ago, he had known wonder when the world was young, before the duties of Olympus had consumed him. Now, with each whisper that touched his ear, he felt that forgotten sense awaken. Alive once more, he wondered what lay above the skies he ruled. Beyond the storms he commanded with a single gesture, for though he had thunder at his call, even Zeus did not know every secret that the heavens concealed. And so he listened, as the whispers rose and fell, like waves breaking upon unseen shores of air. They told him of the Skybound Temple, a place not forged by mortal hands nor claimed by any god. It was a temple of memory, drifting between realms, held together by silence, light, and ancient breath. The name alone sent a shiver of intrigue through him, a promise of discovery beyond the familiar. Zeus spread his arms, feeling the weightless air curl around his palms, the currents eager to carry him. He did not summon lightning, nor did he cloak himself in storm, for this was not a journey of power. Instead, he chose stillness, allowing the winds to guide him, trusting their unseen and gentle hands. The higher he rose, the softer the world became. Mountains shrinking into shadows far below his feet. Birds wheeled in spirals around him, their wings glowing faintly in the golden breath of the new day. They seemed to know his path, circling with ease, leading him through corridors of drifting white cloud. Each gust of wind carried a tone, a note in a song older than the stars, a hymn of pure invitation. It was as if the sky itself wanted him to find what had been waiting since time's first dawn. Zeus followed willingly, not as a ruler, but as a pilgrim answering the call of the boundless heavens. His heart beat steady, not with command, but with quiet wonder, a rhythm matched to the breath of the sky. He passed through veils of silver mist, each layer unveiling new colors hidden in the light of day. Shadows of forgotten constellations flickered in the haze, as if the stars had come close to watch. He felt the sky grow thick with memory, the air humming with secrets not yet spoken into being. The whispers grew softer now, not distant, but nearer, like a friend's voice guiding him homeward. And there, upon the horizon, the clouds parted, shaping themselves into archways of luminous white. Beyond them, faint and glimmering, stood a silhouette of something vast, something untold. The Skybound Temple was not yet revealed, but its presence pressed upon the air like sacred breath. Zeus paused, floating upon a sea of cloud, his spirit quiet, his mind open to what awaited beyond. For the first time in countless ages, the god of the skies felt not like a ruler, but like a seeker. The whispers hushed, leaving only silence. And in that silence, the journey truly began. The path ahead shimmered with light, weaving through layers of cloud that glowed like gates of crystal flame. Zeus stepped forward, his stride steady, though the ground beneath was nothing but drifting air and mist. Each motion was guided by trust, for no stone supported him, only the unseen hands of the living sky. The wind rose gently, carrying him upward, wrapping his body in currents soft as woven silk. Above him, the heavens spread wide, painted in shades of gold, pearl, and the faint silver of dawn. It was as if the world itself had built a stairway of light, leading him toward its hidden crown. The eagles of Olympus soared nearby, their wings gleaming like burnished bronze in the radiant glow. They circled him, not as guardians of war, but as companions guiding him along his rising journey. Each call they made echoed across the clouds, sounding less like cries, more like sacred chants of welcome. The higher he climbed, the more the earth below dissolved, vanishing into a soft haze of distant green. Zeus paused for a moment, gazing downward, watching rivers curl like threads through the fading lands. Villages lay like stars beneath the veil of mist, their fires dim pinpricks swallowed by endless white. Yet here, above the world, silence ruled, broken only by the breath of wind and the wings of birds. It was not the silence of emptiness, but of promise, as though creation held its breath in reverence. Every cloud he passed seemed alive, reshaping into arches, bridges, and doorways glowing with hidden fire. He reached out once, brushing a strand of vapor, and it sparked faintly with light, as if recognizing him. It was then he realized the path was not random, but woven deliberately, guiding his every step. The rising way was not his to command, but his to follow, built long before even gods first dreamed. Zeus accepted the guidance, moving without hesitation, his heart open to whatever truth lay ahead. Though master of the sky, in this moment he felt like a guest walking into another's sacred domain. As he climbed higher, the air thinned, yet carried a clarity purer than any breath he had known. The winds sang around him, a chorus of tones both high and low, harmonies of an ancient sky song. Some notes carried the laughter of children, others the whispers of lovers, still others the sigh of stars. It was music not meant for conquest, but for remembrance, each sound a fragment of forgotten time. Zeus listened, his chest heavy with emotion he had not felt in countless ages, stirred from long sleep. Memories of prayers offered in soft voices rose before him, each shaped like petals floating in air. He remembered the trust mortals once gave freely, not out of fear, but in hope, joy, and reverence. The rising path was more than a journey. It was a mirror reflecting the bonds between earth and sky. Every step upward carried not just his body, but the weight of all those voices he had ever heard. And still the wind urged him onward, higher and higher, toward the unseen crest of heaven's gate. The light grew brighter, though it did not burn, a brilliance soft enough to comfort, yet vast enough to awe. The clouds parted into vast stairways, each step glowing faintly like moonlight captured in solid form. Zeus walked steadily, his robe trailing behind him, moving like a fragment of storm among gentle air. No thunder cracked, no lightning flared, only calm radiance surrounding him in unbroken serenity. The path curved upward into infinity, each bend revealing a glimpse of something greater yet unseen. At last, as he reached the crest of the cloud-formed ascent, the winds softened into a hush of stillness. Before him lay a vast expanse of sky, unlike any he had known, wide and endless, yet structured with grace. Floating there, suspended in brilliance, stood a threshold woven of cloud, light, and silent promise. The rising path had led him true, bringing him to the edge of something timeless and untouched. Zeus paused, his spirit filled with anticipation, knowing the true mystery was only just beginning. The threshold stood before him, vast yet silent, woven from drifting cloud, shimmering air, and pale light. Zeus stepped closer, his feet brushing mist that curled upward like incense rising from an unseen altar. The silence deepened, yet within it he felt presence, a watchfulness that spoke without voice or sound. From the edges of the gate, shapes began to emerge, tall and still, formed of stone yet breathing life. Guardians of silence stood there, their bodies carved of marble cloud, their eyes glowing faint silver. They did not move, nor raise arms, but their gaze held weight. Ancient as the roots of the heavens, Zeus paused, not in fear, but in reverence, for he knew he had reached a boundary not of his making. The guardians carried no weapons. Their hands rested upon stone, folded in gestures of eternal calm. Their presence was not a warning of battle, but a reminder that this was a place of sacred stillness. Each figure seemed more alive than lifeless, statues that breathed the memory of ages beyond counting. He stepped closer, his robe whispering against the shifting air, his hand extended toward the nearest one. The stone was cold beneath his palm, yet not harsh, more like a river rock smoothed by centuries. At his touch, faint light bloomed, rippling across the guardian's chest, like dawn, spreading on water. The glow passed from one to the next, each awakening gently, their eyes brightening like hidden stars. Yet they did not move to bar his way, nor did they speak, only bowed their heads in solemn accord. Zeus felt no resistance, only permission, as if the temple itself had acknowledged his seeking heart. The silence that followed was deeper still, heavy yet kind, carrying the weight of unseen understanding. It was not obedience they offered him, nor worship, but recognition between ancient being and sky's keeper. Zeus inclined his head in return, acknowledging the guardians not as statues, but as companions of purpose. The gate between them shimmered, folding inward, a passage opening into the luminous halls beyond. He stepped through, leaving the threshold behind, carried forward by currents gentler than dream's breath. The guardians did not follow, but their gaze lingered, steady and eternal, as though blessing his path. Inside, the air shifted, filled with resonance, a hum too low for sound, yet strong enough to be felt. Walls of mist and light curved upward, forming vast corridors suspended above nothing but endless sky. The guardians had allowed his entry, but their silence spoke louder than thunder could ever proclaim. They were reminders that this place was not to be claimed, but entered only by those who sought truth. Zeus's steps echoed faintly, each sound rippling outward like small waves across an infinite ocean. He knew now that every figure, every stone, was alive in a way beyond mortal understanding. The guardians were not protectors of treasure, but keepers of balance, standing watch for countless ages. Their stillness was itself a teaching, reminding even a god that some mysteries are guarded by silence. Zeus reflected as he walked, his heart heavier with wonder than with pride. Humbled by the guardian's trust, he realized power alone could not have opened the path. It had been his quiet listening that unlocked it. The whispers of the wind, the patience of silence, the reverence in his step, these were the true keys. Beyond the guardians, the temple revealed itself not as stone halls, but as a realm suspended in light. Yet still, he carried the image of those silent figures with him, etched upon the fabric of his memory. For they had taught him without words, showing that stillness could hold more strength than thunder. The air shimmered gently, the corridors stretching ahead like threads of lightning woven into eternity. Zeus pressed onward, his heart steady, carrying with him the lesson of the guardian's silent accord. The temple had opened. The journey continued, but he knew the true passage had already been crossed, for beyond the gate of stone and silence, he had stepped into a deeper truth than power alone could grant. The corridors stretched endlessly, suspended in air, woven of light and mist that shifted like living fabric. Zeus walked slowly, each step echoing faintly, as though the space itself remembered every sound made. Beneath him was no floor of stone, only threads of lightning stretched into shimmering bridges of sky. They pulsed softly, carrying him forward, each step awakening a glow that faded as he passed. The vastness felt infinite, yet not empty, alive with quiet energy that hummed through every breath. Columns rose from nothingness, spiraling upward like pillars of cloud crowned in halos of gold light. They bore no carvings, no words, only pure form, as though shaped by silence rather than mortal hands. Zeus lifted his gaze, seeing the ceilings vanish into endless horizon. No roof, only eternal sky above. It was not a hall of kings, nor a palace of triumph, but a place designed to honor unseen truth. The air was clear, weightless, carrying scents faint and shifting, like rain, fire, and blooming gardens at once. As he moved deeper, the corridors bent gently, curving into vast open chambers suspended over void. One chamber unfolded before him, round and boundless, its edges dissolving into the horizon of cloud. The walls shimmered like glass, yet rippled like water, reflecting light that danced across his shoulders. Every surface seemed alive, not static, but breathing, pulsing softly with rhythms older than time. Zeus paused to listen, for the silence here was unlike any he had ever known, rich, layered, profound. It was silence, not of absence, but of presence, filled with 1,000 voices, too soft to be heard. Each whisper moved like a current beneath thought, stirring feelings beyond language, deep and timeless. The chamber was a hymn without sound, a temple not to worship but to remember. Zeus pressed his hand against the wall of light, and the surface rippled, opening like calm water. Behind it, he glimpsed shifting visions, storms long past, stars being born, prayers whispered into night. He pulled back gently, knowing this was not for him to take, only for him to witness and honor. Every corridor that followed revealed more wonders, each bending into another space of endless sky. Some paths opened to bridges of lightning stretching across empty blue, trembling with gentle resonance. Others revealed balconies of cloud where winds circled endlessly, carrying notes of songs not yet sung. In each place, Zeus felt smaller, not diminished, but humbled, like a guest welcomed into eternity. His footsteps carried no thunder. His power seemed distant, yet his presence was acknowledged in stillness. The temple revealed itself not as a structure of walls, but as a living rhythm, bound to sky and silent. It had no throne, no crown, no trophies, for such things held no meaning in a place beyond pride. What it offered instead was reflection, a chance for even a god to feel the weight of timeless breath. Zeus understood this was no domain to be ruled, but a sanctuary to be remembered and protected. He continued along the glowing bridges, their hum steady, like strings of an unseen lyre in the air. Every note seemed to rise with him, weaving a song that resonated in his chest and steadied his mind. The journey felt endless, yet he did not grow weary, for each step was lifted by currents of unseen care. The temple's design was not meant to tire, but to awaken, shaping him into a listener more than a leader. Zeus realized with each chamber passed that this was not a path of conquest, but of surrender. The halls did not ask him to command, but to yield, to let the silence speak where words could not. His heart, so often weighed with storms and thunder, grew calm, matching the rhythm of the temple itself. Every breath he took echoed the stillness, until even his thoughts moved slower, more reverent, more true. At last, the corridor opened into a vast expanse, wider and brighter than any before, glowing with promise. And Zeus, standing at its edge, felt the sense that he was not moving through the temple, he was entering it. The chamber opened wide, vaster than the eye could hold, its boundaries dissolving into infinite light and mist. Zeus stepped forward, and the ground beneath him shimmered, woven from starlight that pulsed with gentle rhythm. It felt not solid, but steady enough, a bridge of memory carrying him deeper into the temple's hidden heart. Above, constellations stirred, forming shapes unseen by mortals, patterns older than stories told by humankind. They shifted like a grand tapestry, weaving galaxies, then unraveling into rivers of silver fire across the sky. Zeus paused, raising his gaze, and for a moment, even he, Lord of the Sky, felt humbled by the vast design. The air was alive, not with thunder, but with a hush so full it seemed to weigh softly upon his shoulders. Each breath he took echoed like a song, carrying him closer to something sacred, something unspoken. There were no walls now, no corridors, only endless expanse, as though the temple itself had dissolved. And yet, he felt more enclosed than ever, as if he had stepped into the very core of creation's silence. At the center stood a column, not of stone nor cloud, but of light, spun into a spiral, without beginning or end. It reached upward and downward alike, stretching into forever, glowing with warmth yet untouchable. As Zeus approached, the column shifted, unfolding visions that poured like streams of thought into the air. He saw the first rains falling upon barren earth, mountains rising, oceans forming from tears of sky. He saw mortals lifting their eyes, whispering prayers not of fear, but of wonder, to the boundless heavens. He saw gods walking among them, offering gifts of fire, harvest, and knowledge wrapped in mystery. The column shimmered again, revealing storms born not of wrath but of balance, cleansing the world. It showed the stars guiding sailors across unknown seas, each point of light a promise of return. Zeus reached out his hand, and the spiral pulsed, as though greeting him not with words but with knowing. It asked nothing, demanded nothing, only reflected what was, what had been, and what might still come. The vision shifted once more, and Zeus glimpsed his own throne on Olympus, surrounded by gods of might. He saw their laughter, their disputes, their councils that shaped the destinies of both gods and mortals. Yet in this place, those images seemed smaller, less urgent, like waves compared to the stillness of sea. For here, power was not measured in thunderbolts or crowns, but in the courage to listen and remain still. The column glowed brighter, and from it radiated threads of light that stretched outward like pathways. Each thread touched a corner of the sky, linking sun, moon, stars, and winds in one vast harmony. Zeus realized this was the temple's truth, not a monument to his strength, but to the balance he guarded. The storms, the clear skies, the rains, the light, all were part of one great circle he had sworn to keep. His heart softened, for he understood this sanctuary did not exist to honor him, but to remind him. It reminded him that even a god must bow before silence, before the unshaped power that holds all things. As he stood in awe, the floor beneath him trembled, not with force, but with resonance, like a harp string. The spiral sang, though no sound was heard, only felt a vibration flowing through every breath and bone. It was a song of creation, of skies unbroken, of harmony that endured beyond storms and beyond time. Zeus closed his eyes, allowing the silent song to move through him, steadying his spirit, clearing his mind. The weight of thunder lifted, the burden of rule eased, and he stood simply as a traveler, a witness. The spiral dimmed softly, folding its visions back into itself, as though the moment had been enough. The chamber brightened, and the starlit floor stretched forward, leading toward yet another hidden mystery. Zeus exhaled deeply, stepping onward, carrying with him the lesson of silence, balance, and eternal light. And so he journeyed deeper, with each step no longer seeking answers, but carrying them quietly within. The temple waited, alive, ready to reveal more truths to the god who dared to listen instead of command. The path ahead glimmered like silver thread, winding through open air where no walls or ceilings restrained. Zeus stepped with quiet reverence, guided by starlight that rippled beneath his feet like living water. The silence here was deep, yet within it he felt layers of hidden voices rising like tides of memory. Every breath carried weight, as if the very act of inhaling tied him closer to the temple's rhythm. He followed the path until it dissolved into a vast circle of cloud, glowing softly with golden radiance. At the center lay a pool, not of water, but of pure reflection, shifting like glass alive with hidden skies. The surface mirrored not only light, but thoughts, drawing images of the heart into rippling form. Zeus knelt slowly, his reflection gazing back, not as the ruler of Olympus, but as a traveler laid bare. The pool shimmered, revealing visions of storms he had summoned, choices made, and silence ignored. It did not accuse him, nor praise him, only showed the truth carried in the folds of his eternal reign. He reached out a hand, and the surface stirred, expanding outward in rings of golden shimmer. Each ring carried images, mountains rising, rivers flowing, villages lit by firelight, children laughing. He saw mortals building temples, their voices lifted not from fear, but from hope and gratitude. He saw their struggles too, moments of doubt, of loss, yet balanced always by resilience and wonder. The pool reflected all, weaving triumphs and sorrows into a tapestry that pulsed like a living heart. Zeus leaned closer, humbled, for he realized that his storms were only one thread among countless others. The world did not revolve around his thunder, but around harmony between light, shadow, and breath. The pool's vision shifted, showing other gods, each carrying their own burdens of rule and care. Hera's watchful eyes over hearth and family, Poseidon's restless tides, Athena's wisdom guiding mortals. Each role intertwined, each essential, no greater or lesser, bound together like strands in cosmic song. Zeus felt a stirring in his chest, a reminder that leadership was not thunder's roar, but balance upheld. The pool glowed brighter, casting a gentle light that wrapped around him like a cloak of calm. He closed his eyes, listening not with ears, but with spirit. As the silence deepened into resonance, it was as though the temple whispered, "Power is nothing without balance. Rule is nothing without care." Zeus breathed slowly, letting the words settle, not as commands, but as truths too simple to ignore. The ripples faded, and the pool grew still once more, holding nothing but sky within its depths. Yet Zeus knew it had offered him more than visions. It had given him the mirror of responsibility. He rose slowly, carrying not weight, but clarity, as if the silence itself had lifted burdens unseen. Around him, the golden circle of cloud brightened, pathways opening in 4 directions at once. Each glowed faintly, like choices unfolding, each offering another lesson hidden within the temple's heart. Zeus chose the path to the east, where the light bent into soft hues of dawn, gentle and welcoming. The bridge stretched before him, woven of sunlight itself, warm beneath his steps, humming with life. Along its edge drifted petals of cloud, glowing like blossoms carried on a current of invisible wind. He touched one gently, and it dissolved into warmth, leaving only the faint echo of a forgotten song. The path led him into a chamber of winds, vast and hollow, where currents spiraled like unseen rivers. They brushed against him, carrying scents of seas, forests, deserts, and distant lands below the sky. Each breeze was a voice, a story, a reminder that every corner of the world belonged to the whole. Zeus stood still, letting the winds circle him, weaving a chorus of places he had long overlooked. He felt their message clear. Even the smallest breeze shapes the sky. Even the faintest voice belongs. And so he walked onward, carrying with him not thunder, but the gentle weight of understanding anew. The winds faded gently, and the chamber dissolved into streams of light guiding Zeus toward the next passage. The path ahead shimmered like woven dawn, glowing with soft hues of rose, amber, and silver twilight. Zeus stepped forward, each stride carrying him deeper into a realm untouched by storm or shadow. Soon the air thickened with warmth, like sunlight pressing gently upon skin, soothing and steadying him. The passage opened into a vast garden suspended in the sky, blooming across endless drifting terraces. Flowers of light swayed without stems, each petal glowing like a star caught in the rhythm of breath. The garden hummed softly, not with bees or winds, but with a chorus of harmony too delicate to name. Zeus paused, awestruck, for this place felt unlike Olympus, unlike Earth, neither mortal nor divine alone. It was a realm of balance, where creation thrived without need for rule, flowing in endless renewal. The blossoms pulsed with colors beyond mortal sight, each one shifting with the rhythm of unseen songs. Zeus moved among them slowly, his hand brushing near a bloom that dissolved into a stream of light. The stream curled around him, wrapping his shoulders in warmth before scattering back into the air. Each bloom he neared responded in kind, revealing not fragrance but memory, born from silent roots. One flower glowed with laughter, a child's voice echoing faintly, carried up to the heavens in prayer. Another shimmered with the memory of rain, falling gently on parched fields, blessing them with life. Others revealed songs sung at sea, whispers spoken in love, or tears shed in solitude beneath the stars. Each bloom carried a story, a fragment of mortal existence preserved in beauty too fragile to fade. Zeus felt the weight of them all, humbled by the realization that these were gifts not given by gods. They were offerings of life itself, moments too small to echo in Olympus, yet powerful enough to endure. The garden was not built for him, nor for any god, but for memory, the heartbeats of countless lives. He walked deeper, following terraces that spiraled upward like stairways of blooming constellations. With each step, the air grew brighter, filled with the glow of blossoms shifting into new colors. The chorus of harmony swelled, not with sound, but with the vibration of stories woven into light. Zeus closed his eyes for a moment, letting the pulse move through him, like thunder softened to silence. He realized then that storms, though mighty, were fleeting, while these small lights endured forever. His thunder could shake mountains, but it was the breath of mortals that kept the world alive. The blossoms reminded him that power must bend to nurture, not only to command or to protect. The garden whispered without voice, "What is remembered is never lost. What is cherished cannot fade." Zeus felt the truth settle deep within him, steadier than lightning, clearer than the blaze of stars. This sanctuary was not for worship, but for preservation, where the fragile became eternal in silence. At the heart of the garden stood a tree, its branches wide, woven of silver cloud and golden flame. Its roots sank into nothingness, yet from them flowed rivers of light cascading across the terraces. Zeus approached slowly, reverent, sensing the tree's age older than Olympus, older than the first storm. Its branches stretched endlessly, and on each one hung blossoms brighter, heavier than the rest. They pulsed like living hearts, each one a vessel of memory too vast to rest within a single bloom. Zeus reached toward one, and as his hand neared, it opened into a vision as wide as the horizon. He saw empires rising, falling, rebuilt. He saw countless lives begin and end beneath the turning sky. Each story was a thread, fragile yet strong, woven into the fabric of the world he had sworn to guard. The tree held them all, carrying what gods could not, what storms could not wash away. Zeus bowed his head, for in this place, even he was not ruler, only witness to eternity in bloom. The vision from the tree faded, and the light dissolved into sparks that drifted upward like soft embers in dusk. Zeus opened his eyes slowly, finding himself still in the garden, though it now shimmered with new brilliance. The blossoms bent toward him, glowing brighter, as though acknowledging his understanding of their hidden truths. A path unfolded ahead, paved not with stone, but with flowing streams of silver light that beckoned him onward. He stepped upon them, each stride steady, feeling the streams cradle his feet as though he walked on memory. The path led to a grand arch, woven from interlacing branches of the eternal tree and clouds of dawn. Symbols shimmered across the arch, spirals, circles, and lines echoing rhythms older than Olympus itself. Zeus paused before it, sensing the gateway required not power, but reflection. To unlock its silent threshold, the garden hushed around him, waiting, every blossom leaning in as though to hear the words he might speak. Zeus breathed deeply and whispered gratitude not for thunder, nor for rule, but for the lives that endured. The arch shimmered, its symbols igniting, responding to humility more than to thunder's call or lightning's flare. It parted slowly, revealing a chamber beyond, vast and filled with flowing ribbons of light cascading downward. The chamber resembled a temple, yet no hand of god or mortal seemed to have built its endless expanse. Columns of light rose like trees, stretching high, while the floor rippled like a still pond beneath his feet. In the center stood a dais, glowing faintly, upon which rested a crystal sphere radiant with inner fire. The sphere pulsed gently, each beat echoing through the chamber, like the heartbeat of the world itself. Zeus approached with reverence, sensing within it the woven harmony of storm, memory, and balance combined. The closer he came, the more the chamber resonated, filling with a harmony that both steadied and uplifted. He reached out, his hand hovering just above the glowing surface, feeling warmth radiate through his palm. But the sphere did not open to touch. It spoke, not in voice, but in a tide of visions washing over him. Zeus saw the temple rising from the first dawn, lifted by currents of light and anchored by mortal prayers. He saw its chambers filled with blossoms of memory, rivers of harmony, and storms softened into renewal. He saw the Skybound Temple as not merely a place, but as a living covenant between gods and the world. The vision revealed that his thunder was but one part of the symphony, not the whole of creation itself. Mortals, in their fragility, added the notes of laughter, sorrow, and love that no storm could create. The blossoms preserved those notes, the tree held them, and the temple bound them into endless balance. Zeus realized then that his journey was not to claim the temple, but to listen, to learn, to remember. The sphere pulsed brighter, as if acknowledging his acceptance, then dimmed to a steady, gentle glow. Around him, the chamber brightened, and the columns of light swayed as though stirred by invisible winds. The harmony filled him, not like thunder in his chest, but like calm waters settling a restless storm. Zeus placed his hand lightly upon the sphere, not to command it, but to honor the truth it carried. The warmth seeped into him, filling him with clarity, steadying his heart, and guiding his thoughts to peace. The temple was alive with him, and he with it, bound not by rule but by mutual reverence and care. He felt storms soften within, lightning gentled, as though his own power had learned to bow to harmony. The chamber seemed to sigh in relief, releasing a light so soft it blanketed the entire space with calm. Zeus closed his eyes, letting the stillness wrap around him, learning at last that silence could be divine. The arch behind him closed, sealing the chamber, yet not with walls, but with trust that he understood. This was no throne room, no hall of conquest, but a sanctuary of balance gifted to all creation alike. Zeus bowed his head low, humbled, not as ruler of Olympus, but as a guardian of what must never fade. And with that bow, the sphere glowed brighter, welcoming him not as master, but as companion to eternity. The chamber of the sphere grew brighter, and the glow expanded until the walls dissolved into endless sky. Zeus stood within the open heavens, the temple merging with the clouds, floating freely among the stars. The winds carried no thunder now, only calm currents that lifted him higher into the radiant expanse. Beneath him, the blossoms of memory still glowed, their colors weaving a soft river across the horizon. Above him, constellations shifted, no longer still but moving as though they danced in gentle procession. The stars traced shapes of stories, each constellation telling a tale preserved in the Skybound Temple. Zeus watched, humbled, as one cluster revealed a family gathered by fire, their laughter echoing in light. Another formed into a voyager at sea, steering through storms, his courage written across the night sky. Others showed healers, builders, dreamers, and children, all threads in the eternal tapestry of creation. Zeus realized then that the temple sky was not merely filled with stars but with memories unforgotten. The constellations pulsed together, forming a great spiral that encircled Zeus. Shimmering with harmony, he felt the energy flow around him, guiding him not to wield it but to recognize his place within it. Thunder had once been his voice, yet here it was but a single note in a choir of countless tones. He lowered his head, acknowledging that power alone could not sustain what the temple had preserved. The spiral shifted, opening into a doorway of starlight that invited him to step forward once again. Zeus entered, finding himself upon a bridge woven of pure radiance, stretching into unseen distance. The bridge did not rest on clouds or earth, but floated freely, sustained by the balance of harmony. As he walked, visions bloomed on either side, showing worlds beyond Olympus, far beyond mortal reach. He saw realms of dawn yet unborn, skies yet to be painted, lives yet to take their first breath. The bridge revealed futures not fixed, but fragile, shaped by choices, both mortal and divine alike. Zeus paused, realizing the path was not simply a journey but a reflection of what lay still to come. Every step he took resonated with possibility, echoing across the unseen threads of time itself. He heard whispers in the air, mortal voices yet unborn prayers that might one day reach Olympus. The voices asked not for conquest or thunder, but for guidance, kindness, and a balance of light. Zeus listened carefully, the sound striking deeper than any storm, humbling his immortal heart. The bridge shimmered brighter, rewarding his silence, and carried him toward a radiant horizon ahead. At its end stood a gateway carved from starlight, inscribed with words too ancient for speech. Though unreadable, their meaning was clear, carried on the harmony that filled the endless expanse. Guard not as ruler, but as witness. Protect not as conqueror, but as keeper of balance eternal. Zeus touched the gateway, and it parted, unveiling the final chamber at the temple's heart. The chamber was vast, shaped like a sphere, filled with flowing streams of light that never touched ground. They circled endlessly, weaving through one another without clash, forming an eternal rhythm of balance. At the center hovered a single flame, small yet steady, glowing brighter than any thunderbolt he had cast. Zeus approached slowly, sensing this was no weapon, no throne, but the essence of harmony itself. The flame flickered gently, responding to his presence, growing warmer as though recognizing his soul. It whispered without sound, reminding him that storms serve life, not rule it, and silence holds truth. Zeus bowed deeply, offering no thunder, no lightning, only his humility before the quiet flame. For the first time, he felt complete, not as king of Olympus, but as a guardian of balance, eternal. The streams of light swirled around him, embracing him in calm, sealing his understanding within. And as the flame brightened, Zeus knew he had reached the heart of the Skybound Temple at last. The flame glowed brighter, filling the chamber with radiance that softened every shadow into streams of calm light. Zeus stood quietly, his heart steady, knowing the temple revealed not power to claim but wisdom to carry. The streams of light circled the flame and then extended outward, reaching toward him like gentle rivers. They touched his shoulders, his hands, his brow, weaving a crown of brightness, not of rule, but of trust. The harmony of the temple poured into him, not changing who he was, but reminding him of who he could be. For thunder was mighty, but balance was eternal, and both now lived within his heart side by side. Zeus closed his eyes, feeling the flame settle into him, no longer apart, but a part of his essence. The chamber sighed softly, its streams slowing, as though the temple had passed its deepest truth to him. The blossoms, the constellations, the archways of light all sang in unison, quiet, yet infinitely enduring. And for the first time, Zeus felt silence, not as emptiness, but as the highest form of divine music. The chamber dissolved into brightness, lifting him beyond walls, beyond gardens, into the open sky. The temple unfolded around him, its terraces of memory shining, its tree of blossoms radiant with stars. Mortals below looked up, though they knew not why, sensing calm spreading like rain across the earth. Storms softened, seas grew still, and skies cleared, as if the world itself breathed in gentle relief. Zeus descended slowly, not as thunder's conqueror, but as balance's guardian, carrying harmony within. He walked among clouds, each step leaving no mark, for he was lighter, no longer burdened by command. The winds carried him back toward Olympus, yet he knew he would never see storms the same way again. He had touched eternity, not by force, but by listening, by humbling his will before silence and memory. The Skybound Temple faded from sight, hidden once more, waiting until another sought its quiet truth. But Zeus carried it now, not in hand, not in throne, but in the steady pulse of his immortal heart. On Olympus, the other gods felt the shift, though none spoke of it, for the air itself was different. It was calmer, warmer, as though lightning itself had learned to glow without the need to strike. Hera looked upon Zeus and saw not thunder in his eyes, but a gentler light that steadied his gaze. Athena bowed slightly, recognizing wisdom carried in silence more powerful than words could declare. Apollo played his lyre, and for the first time, the notes seemed to flow in harmony with thunder's rhythm. Even Ares, restless and fierce, paused as if unsure why his heart felt less heavy beneath the sky. The gods saw the change, but Zeus said nothing, for the lesson of the temple was not meant to be told. It was meant to be lived, shown in choices, echoed in storms that nurtured rather than destroyed. And so he carried on, ruler of Olympus, but now also keeper of balance, guardian of harmony, eternal. The Skybound Temple had vanished, yet its gift remained, woven into the very breath of his being. Zeus lifted his gaze to the heavens, where constellations shone brighter, whispering stories beyond time. He smiled, not in triumph, but in quiet reverence for the lives and memories preserved in eternal bloom. The flame within him glowed steady, reminding him that silence could carry more than thunder ever would. And as winds stirred across Olympus, he raised no bolt, no storm, but simply listened to their song. The Skybound Temple would remain a mystery to most, yet its truth now lived in the heart of a god. Balance was not distant, not unreachable, but present in every breath, every choice, every fragile moment. Zeus knew this, and he vowed to walk with it, not above it, for as long as eternity would allow. The temple had given no crown, no weapon, only the gift of understanding. And that was greater still. So he stood upon Olympus, thunder quiet, lightning calm, the guardian of silence and harmony, eternal, and thus ended his journey to the Skybound Temple, though its story would echo forever among the stars.